Hello and welcome. I'm going to be talking through basics about vectors and matrices. So let's start with vectors. This vector has an initial point, meaning starting at 2, -6, it ends at 6, -4. And so what that means is it's going to the right and it's going up a bit to accomplish that. Let's go ahead and calculate it. So we always do the terminal point minus the initial point with both the x values and the y values to calculate our vector. So this vector will be 6, take away 2. For our x value, our y value of the vector will come from -4, take away -6. 6 minus 2 would be 4. 4 minus -6, or excuse me, -4 minus -6, I would treat as -4 plus 6, so that would be 2. So it's going to the right 4 units and up 2. But this is my final answer. Also of note, they have these unique little brackets that are coming to a point on each side. All right, now if I want to do a scale factor on a vector, all I got to do is just multiply the x and y values by whatever scale factor they're using. So here I'm going to multiply both values by 3 to find 3v. So 3 times the vector would result in 12, 4 times 3, -6. And that's your final answer. And you'll have some basic vector operations like addition, subtraction. Maybe you have to multiply and then add them. So just watch out for what you're supposed to be doing. Anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and add these together. So u plus v would be the -3 would add with the -8. The x values would add together. And the +8 would add with the -6. And this creates my answer of -11. Coming from adding here, and +2. And that's all I'm going to have you doing with vectors for today. Okay, so the next item is a matrix. A matrix is a rectangular array of numbers, and you will have them presented in rows and columns. So when it's asking for element D24, that's asking for what element is in row 2, column 4. Now to let you know, as far as my rows go, this is row 1, row 2. As far as my columns go, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. So this would all, of note here out to the side, this would be known as a 2 by 5 matrix, is matrix D. Anyways, element 24 would come from the second row and the 4th column, which would be element -8. So element D24 is -8. All right, we can also do operations with matrices. Now, in order for the operations to be able to be done, they have to be the same dimension when you're talking addition and subtraction. So this is a 3 by 2 matrix for matrix A, 3 rows, 2 columns, and matrix B is also a 3 by 2, so it's okay. Now this can be done. We do need to increase, when you're doing this on Delta Math, you'll need to hit the plus button to make this 3 rows by 2 columns in order to present your final answer. Anyways, let's talk about what we're doing for that. Matrix B minus matrix A. So we're going to take the elements from matrix B and we're going to subtract away the elements from matrix A. So -3 minus 2 would make for -5. 2 minus 5 would make for -3. 5 minus 5 would be 0. 0 minus -3 is going to be +3 because 0 minus -3 change that to a positive. -3 minus 5 is -8. And 1 minus 5 is -4. And this is what I would type in as my answer. Just be careful as to whether it says B minus A, which is what we just did, or if it would have perhaps said A minus B, then you would be subtracting in the opposite order. If ever the dimensions do not match up to where you can't do them, it's a dimensional mismatch, and it's not possible. All right. So for this last one, we have a couple different operations going on. We've got some scalar multipliers kicked in there as well. So we're going to do -2 times matrix B, which is the matrix 5, -3, -7. And by the way, this is a 1/3 matrix. Matrix A is also a 1/3 matrix. We're going to do -1/4 times matrix A, which is 8, 8, -16. So first, before I do the subtraction, I will go ahead and do the scalar multiplication. So -2 times 5 is -10. -2 times -3 is +6. -2 times -7 is +14. And here, I'll actually go ahead and distribute -1/4, and that would leave me with addition. Personal preference on doing that. So -1/4 times 8 would be -2. -1/4 times +8 is again -2. And -1/4 times -16 is +4. Now that I've done the scalar multiplications, I can now go ahead and do the addition. So I'm just going to do element 1, 1 with element 1, 1. That would make -12. Element 1, 2 with element 1, 2. So 6 plus -2 is +4. And 14 plus 4 is 18. All right, this is finished. This would be my answer. And again, when you're typing this into an assignment like on Delta Math, you'd need to tell it that it's a 1 row by 3 columns. All right, and that wraps the lesson. Please let me know if you've got any questions on this. Thank you.